This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Thursday, January 28th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, COVID-19 has taken the lives of more than 425,000 Americans, and the latest forecast predicts it could get much worse. See why one federal judge is blocking the Biden administration from allowing migrants into the United States. The Biden administration directs the Department of Justice to phase out private prisons. So what does that mean for criminal justice reform? And business mogul Mark Cuban bringing affordable medications to people in need. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin this half hour looking at January, proving to be the deadliest month for COVID so far. And scientists believe the death toll will climb by up to 90,000 in the next 4 weeks. This all comes while the government is struggling to administer the vaccine and schools are debating reopening. Here's Heather Sells with our report.
COVID-19 has taken the lives of more than 425,000 Americans. And the latest White House forecast shows that in the next month, the U.S. will reach between 479 and 514,000 deaths. The federal government is racing to get the vaccine out as many Americans desperately try to get their shot. In Kansas, hundreds of people over 80 waited in the cold, while in Alabama, people lined up in their cars for hours.
2 hours we moved maybe 4 spaces in this line of cars until my mom said, "I can't take it anymore. We have to go."
The president says 1 million extra doses will go out next week, but his advisors are cautious.
It will be months before everyone who wants a vaccine will be able to get one.
There are some positive signs. New confirmed cases and hospitalizations have dropped drastically in the last 2 weeks. And in some states, like California and New York, authorities are easing up on restrictions as the numbers get better.
Every curve statewide is down. That's good news. We will then adjust the valves to those facts.
But the CDC director wants Americans to remain vigilant. She says COVID mutations are now confirmed in half of the country.
They're more transmissible, which can lead to increased number of cases and increased stress on our already taxed healthcare system.
Experts believe that by March, the highly contagious variant from the UK will likely become the dominant source of infection in the U.S. On another pandemic front, many school districts are debating reopening. In Philadelphia, kids haven't been in their classrooms since the pandemic began. The new plan transitioned back with a hybrid model.
The earlier years of the child's education is some of the most important years, and these kids are almost a year behind now.
In Chicago, the mayor wants to reopen schools, but so far, the teachers' union has said no.
I cannot, as mayor, in good conscience, as a mayor, as a mother, and a proud resident of this city, leave these students behind who are failing, when a safe solution is absolutely possible.
The Biden administration wants to reopen most schools within 100 days. A new CDC report says children should go back to class and that the risk of virus transmission is small if precautions are followed. Heather Sells, CBN News.
A federal judge has blocked President Biden's 100-day moratorium on deportations after Texas challenged the policy. But migrants are still flooding the southern border all the same. They're hopeful the new U.S. president will keep his promise to dismantle the strong immigration policy of his predecessor. Chuck Holton has the story.
This is downtown Juarez, Mexico, and there's a square here in the city center is full of people, but many of these people are not Mexican. They're from all over Central America and even as far away as Africa and the Middle East. They're here because they're under the Remain in Mexico policy that was started under President Donald Trump. That policy is likely to be going away very soon, but so far, these people are still stuck here on the Mexican side of the border. Many of these migrants have been waiting here in Juarez for more than a year to have an asylum hearing in the United States. The fact that they were not being allowed to live in the U.S. while they wait for a decision on their cases has had a tremendous chilling effect on the number of migrants willing to make the journey. But a new administration in Washington has given new hope to many who came here to find a better life. But after 4 years of strict immigration policy, getting into the United States isn't near as easy as it used to be. This is the We Build the Wall project, that privately funded part of the border wall that was constructed with private funds right here outside of El Paso, Texas. And it's made a big difference in the number of migrants coming through this area. We went and talked to one of the owners of this property about the effects that it's had, and especially what's happened since the Biden administration took office.
Before the wall went up, I was catching 50 to as many as 150 illegals a day myself with the help of my dog. Nobody was ever hurt. But since the walls went up until recently, I was seeing, a handful a week. That was it.
After the inauguration, however,
the numbers are picking up greatly again. Now they're catching anywhere from, 30 to 70 a night. And the ones that are coming over, they're not just giving up. They're aggressively resisting. They're physically resisting. A lot of them are having to be handcuffed and stuff like that now.
So this mountainside behind me is where many of the migrants are crossing now, because it's one of the few places near El Paso that doesn't have a massive fence. So since the We Build the Wall project went up here, made it a lot more difficult for these migrants to just cross right through what used to be called the tortilla curtain. Now they go up this mountain behind me, cross over the ridge, and come down this footpath I'm standing on right now. You can tell that they've been here because there are lots of trash, like water bottles. I see some shoelaces here. And they, from here, go right down this washout and right into El Paso. And there are Border Patrol agents spread out around here, but as you can imagine in the dark, it's pretty hard to catch them. We just saw one group of about 6 migrants crossing up on the Mexican side of the border, and most likely, if it weren't for these lights and our cameras, they'd be coming right down this washout behind me in a matter of moments. Sure enough, just a few moments later on the backside of the same mountain, a group of 6 Honduran and Cuban men were apprehended trying to cross into the United States. But there's a twist. They were not arrested by U.S. agents. Rather, the Mexican army detained them before they could cross. A Mexican immigration officer explained their country is still abiding by the agreements made with the Trump administration, and Border Patrol in the United States told us they're very thankful Mexico is staying true to its word to help reduce illegal immigration. But with the Biden administration committed to reversing the policies of his predecessor as soon as possible, it's likely many more migrants will be crossing this barrier very soon. From the U.S.-Mexican border, I'm Chuck Holtman for CBN News.
President Biden continued his flood of executive actions Wednesday with signing orders aimed at addressing climate change. The president is aiming to cut oil, gas, and coal emissions and double energy production, and mandates that climate change be a central part of all national security and foreign policy decisions. Before signing, Biden said the U.S. has waited long enough.
It's not time for small measures. We need to be bold. We have to start by creating new good-paying jobs, capping those abandoned wells, reclaiming mines, turning old brownfield sites into new hubs of economic growth.
And the president says addressing climate change will create American jobs and not eliminate them. Christian recording artist Carmen is asking for prayer after his cancer has returned. The popular singer and songwriter wrote on Facebook, "I need your prayers to get back in remission." Carmen was first diagnosed back in 2013 with an incurable multiple myeloma and cancer. After 9 months of chemo, he was cancer-free. Carmen says he won't stop fighting and is still trusting God for his healing. Coming up, prisons for profit, a shocking look at how private prisons thrive. But first, here's a look at our top trending stories at this hour.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the Sleep Doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're going to bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. Whoa! It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
The Biden administration has ordered the Department of Justice to phase out its use of private prisons. The executive order, signed along with 3 others, is part of an effort to address racial inequity in this country. The order directs the DOJ not to renew any contract with private prisons that house federal inmates. That's about 14,000 people out of the 2 million incarcerated. America is a nation of criminals, and locking up the largest prison population in the world comes, as you can imagine, with a hefty price tag. But for some corporations, it is a major money-making enterprise. Private prisons have been thriving, raking in cash to put people in cages. But as Jennifer Wishon reports, these prisons for profit are now falling out of favor.
Private prisons have been around for decades. They promote themselves as cost-effective community partners, primed to save taxpayer dollars. But critics say that's because they cut corners, creating unsafe conditions. It's big business. Major private prison companies are even publicly traded, and last year raked in billions of profits. According to the Sentencing Project, they operate in 29 states, and the Federal Bureau of Prisons relies on them too. John Pfaff, professor at Fordham Law School and author of Locked In, The True Causes of Mass Incarceration and How to Achieve Real Reform, says even though private prisons only house about 9% of the total prison population, they grab the most attention.
I think people feel like there's something distinctly morally repugnant about paying cash to put people in cages.
They get paid for each inmate locked up in their facilities. In 2012, Corrections Corporation of America, now known as CoreCivic, offered a shocking deal. The company would purchase prisons in 48 states if the states would guarantee a 90% occupancy rate.
I'm not saying corporations are evil, but corporations exist for one thing: to make money, maximum profit. That's okay if you're making widgets or toothpaste, but when you're dealing with people and you're making money off of prison, you're starting to treat people like they're toothpaste.
Jesus Cardenas was locked up for check fraud. He served part of his time in a state prison before being transferred to a private one, and says he immediately noticed a difference in the level of security.
They were just going through the motions. These officers that were there were just drawing a paycheck.
He says fights like this one at a private correction center in Idaho were a daily occurrence. And unless someone was severely hurt, he says they went unnoticed. ICE also contracts with private facilities. In a federal lawsuit filed last month, a Mexican woman says within hours of being deported, she and 2 other women were taken from their dorms and raped by officials at a facility run by CoreCivic in Houston. Criminologist Fran Buntman says when a government detains or sentences someone, it has an obligation to see it through.
We've taken
away their liberty rights to control their own lives, we as a society and the government as the institution looking after them actually have a responsibility to their welfare. We as a society cannot subcontract out that responsibility to a private agency.
Incarceration is a big ticket item. States spend $50 billion a year. And all said, when you factor in police and prosecutors, it costs a total of $200 billion tax dollars to round up, prosecute, and keep inmates behind bars. Over the last year, activists successfully waged campaigns to squeeze private prisons financially, pressuring half a dozen major banks to cut off their financing. Investors pulled back too, and that could keep the companies from growing. Professor Pfaff says some private prisons do operate better than others, just like those in the public system, and points out state-owned prisons also have incentives to keep their doors open. It's just less transparent. No matter where inmates serve time, he encourages Americans to focus on the power of redemption.
Jesus never wrote anybody off, right? You know, that very last moment, he didn't care what the person next to him on the cross was up there for. And I think that there's a very important lesson in what he didn't say and what he didn't ask about how we should view, you know, even those who have done amongst the worst things possible, that we should never just throw them away.
During the last decade, the overall prison rate has fallen by 15%, but America still locks up more people than any other country, and private prisons appear here to stay, at least for now. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Still ahead, China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims is being called genocide. We're going to hear how faith leaders are calling on the country, America, to respond.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come with...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Well-known evangelist and author Francis Chan has been forced to leave Hong Kong and return to the United States, reportedly due to the influence of the Chinese Communist Party. Chan and his family relocated to Hong Kong last year to become international missionaries. Before they left, they were leading 3 house churches they had planted. China Aid reports Chan hopes they can gather in a secure place. Newly confirmed Secretary of State Anthony Blinken did not hesitate to express his agreement made by the Trump administration that China's treatment of its ethnic Uyghurs and Turkic people is genocide. On this week's episode of The Global Lane, East Turkestan Prime Minister in exile, Salil Wudiyar, explains the reason for the genocide designation and what now needs to happen.
So
China invaded and occupied East Turkestan in late 1949 and began to colonize it. However, over the past 71 years, its colonization of East Turkestan developed into genocide, in which, starting about 2017, millions of people were thrown into what China calls re-education camps, but what are actually concentration camps, where they are forced to denounce their ethnic and religious identity, forced starvation, forced medication. Both men and women have been raped in these facilities. The Chinese government is harvesting the organs of select Uyghur and other Turkic prisoners, and hundreds of thousands of Uyghur and other Turkic women have been sterilized by the Chinese government, in addition to over 3.7 million babies forcibly being aborted by the Chinese government. And all of these constitute as genocide as defined under the UN Genocide Convention and as defined under the Elie Wiesel Genocide Prevention Act and Section 1091 of the U.S. Code on genocide.
Well, I want to talk about that forced sterilization again in a minute, but I know you've told us before about those concentration camps and prisons, and you have a map where you found close to 400 in total, where at least you say 3 million Uyghurs are being detained by the Chinese. So tell us a little bit more about that and the forced labor and the re-education they're enduring.
So initially, the Chinese government began to send millions of people in the concentration camps to, forcibly brainwash them, while also, killing select number of them for their organs. However, in recent years, especially with the coronavirus pandemic, China has begun to shift to using them as slave labor. In fact, over 500,000 people were forced to pick cotton during the coronavirus pandemic, whereas millions are still, working in slave labor factories, producing, products for companies like Apple, Nike, Costco, and dozens of others.
I know that Twitter recently actually locked the account of the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. after it tweeted that Uyghur women had been emancipated by government policy from being, quote, baby-making machines. Your reaction to what happened?
This was a dehumanizing tweet, and we are, happy that Twitter has blocked or barred the Chinese embassy from from using its account. However, despite this, there are numerous other Chinese state-run accounts or state-run affiliated media accounts that are continuing to spread propaganda dehumanizing the Uyghur and other Turkic peoples in East Turkestan.
Okay, Sally, so we have that genocide designation now. What should the Biden administration do? How should the U.S. respond?
One thing that we're urging is that the Justice Department implement Section 1091 and prosecute China's diplomats in the United States, including its ambassador, Su Tiankai, for genocide, while also urging other countries, especially American allies, to recognize the atrocities of genocide and to take this to the UN Security Council and urge the UN to uphold its genocide convention. There needs to be real strong actions that need to be taken to stop this.
There is a lot of Chinese involvement in Middle East nations, especially Muslim ones. So how come your fellow Muslims aren't speaking out about this? I'm thinking in particular those in the Middle East who are working deals with the Chinese. Your thoughts?
Again, they're all working, for their own economic interests. So they're ultimately turning a blind eye and in many cases selling Uyghurs to the Chinese government. Turkey, in fact, has an extradition treaty with China, and they are deporting Uyghurs, and there are rumors that they're about to deport even more Uyghurs in exchange for, the coronavirus vaccine from China.
Okay, Salih Hudayar, East Turkestan Prime Minister in exile. Thank you, Salih, for taking the time to be with us again.
Thank you for having me.
And for more, be sure to check out the Global Lane. It begins at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time this evening. You can find that on the CBN News Channel and on the CBN News app. We'll be right back with more of CBN NewsWatch right after this.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians in
Iran are routinely arrested.
Nepali Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Shark Tank star and billionaire Mark Cuban is taking aim at the pharmaceutical industry by launching a generic drug company to help people afford medication. The Mark Cuban Cost Plus drug company says they are dedicated to providing low-cost versions of high-priced, highly marked medications. The first drug produced by the company retails for $400 per tablet, but they will offer it at just $20 per tablet. The company plans to launch more than 100 drugs by the end of 2021. That is at least according to its website. Before we say goodbye, it's time for your Thursday Thankful, and today I want to leave you with this prayer of gratitude. Father, thank you for your unfailing love. I'm so grateful to know it never runs out and it never gives up on me. With that prayer, I encourage you to make this a day filled with gratitude. Indeed, make it a thankful Thursday, and be sure to do it on purpose. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. Please let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope to see you right back here same time tomorrow. Goodbye. God bless.